What's up everyone, Robin here again, and I'm grateful you tuned in again to this super important video. I know I say this pretty much before every video, but this one is actually insane. When I first heard about this, I was devastated, and I just want to share the knowledge I found recently with you guys, because it's truly heartbreaking actually, and something that is influencing us every day and every hour of our lives, probably, because it's about technological devices that we use, from laptops to earphones to electronic cars, whatever. It's in everything, and we should know the truth behind it because our society builds upon that foundation. And it's basically a foundation of modern slavery, but I will go into this in further detail soon. Just be aware, from the get-go. I just want you to know that technology is an integral part of our society, and we probably can't really live without it anymore. Not to the same extent or luxurious extent that we do at the moment. Of course, I've also thought about leaving it all behind and moving into nature, building my own sustainable garden, and these are things I will definitely pursue, but I'm not in the position to do so at the moment, which is why I'm dependent on technology, as many of you are probably as well. And then it's on us to sort of give ourselves barriers to just limit the usage and the control it has over our lives. But that's pretty individual decision. So what I'm about to talk today is outspoken for by Siddharth Kara is his name. He's an activist and also gives lectures on universities. He was on podcasts. And he basically flew to the Congo, got some papers to visit the site where there are cobalt mining. And it was horrifying, to say the least. It's a cruel and oppressive world, actually, the cobalt mining industry in the Congo. And he put some light, or shed some light onto the situation, because it's always advertised as, hey, these people have the best technology they can use. The workforce is well trained, they are compensated enough, and then it's basically ethical. Okay, that's what the companies are trying to tell us. And he went there and he found the opposite. So cobalt is an essential component in lithium-ion batteries that power a wide array of devices, as you may know, from smartphones to computers to laptops, televisions, everything basically. And it's at the center of a grave human rights crisis. And this crisis isn't just a matter of, or an instance of exploitation, but it is one of the most brutal forms of slavery you can imagine. And it's just connected to a global profit-making market. And that's a pretty sad correlation, if you ask me. Cobalt mining isn't the only resource extraction happening in the Congo. The Eastern Congo is known for mining gold, tin, tantalum, and tungsten, a booming industry that began after the Rwandan genocide. However, the conditions under which these minerals are extracted are unimaginable. Companies assure us that functional machinery is being utilized for the extraction, but this couldn't be further from the truth. Instead, individual miners, cramped in tight spaces, toil away with rudimentary tools. The mining conditions are not just inhumane, they are also dangerous. The work is toxic, and laborers, many of them children, work in flip-flops or measly earnings of $1 or $2 a day, an amount that separates survival from starvation. Unfortunately, there is no such thing as clean cobalt. 2/3 of the global cobalt supply comes from the Congo, with the remaining supply sprinkled sporadically in 3% increments around the world. In the coming decade, the demand for cobalt is expected to increase by about 60%, largely due to the electric vehicle industry. This surge might be net positive for environmental reasons, but it spells disaster for the people in Congo. Each week, the makeshift 40-meter tunnels collapse, leading to hundreds of deaths, including those of children. The conditions are, in essence, medieval. And the human toil is distressing, with miners suffering deformities, broken limbs, cancer, and spinal injuries. Despite these perils, you will see children traversing the hazardous terrain, some even carrying babies on their back. Many of these mines originally belonged to King Leopold II of Belgium, who began occupying land in Congo in the late 19th century. Some of these mines are so large they are comparable to European cities, heavily guarded, often more than the White House. The local army has a stronghold on everything, as 70 to 80% of the government's budgets come from the mines. And meanwhile, a majority of the local population doesn't even have electricity. 9% in cities and less than 1% in rural areas. Despite these horrendous circumstances, companies remain complacent. And why? The reasons are rooted in age-old prejudices and the ruthless pursuit of profit, once again. They're just Africans, some would say, brushing off the exploitation as though the lives at stake were somehow less valuable. Corporations shirk responsibilities, passing the blame and willfully remaining ignorant of the suffering their businesses cause. As protests and shutdowns increase in China, many operations are simply relocated to India, another maneuver to maximize profits and keep shareholders happy. Labor costs are among the highest expenses for any business, and slavery reduces these costs to basically zero. Siddharth Kara, who I mentioned earlier, he traveled to Congo to expose these atrocities. And despite numerous rejections from newspapers and media outlets, likely due to the ad revenue they receive from the culpable companies, he's determined to bring the issue to public attention. And that's why he also released his book, Red Cobalt, and sort of spoke about these atrocities happening in the region. And eventually, when the outcry becomes too loud to ignore, it will be intriguing to see how these corporations will take responsibility and acknowledge the duration and magnitude of the exploitation they've fostered. And this dark reality behind our modern conveniences needs to be acknowledged and understood, and most importantly addressed as well. Only then can we start to dismantle the chains of this modern day slavery in the Congo. And Siddharth Kara was also on Joe Rogan. They talked about this whole situation, gave some footage, which I'm also going to include in this video to just spread more awareness of what's actually going on there. And he talked about having guns pointed at his head. He had to get on his knees. He really thought his life would end in that second, as the militia came to him and his camera team, noticing that they were filming there. And he sort of had papers which allowed him to be there, but not like necessarily with a camera team. So yeah, he was ready to die for the cause, which should tell you it's horrible what's going on there. And the lack of responsibility taken by the founders and CEOs of the corporations that profit so tremendously of this. Like Apple is $1 trillion company, $1 trillion. Like that's not comprehensible for us, and they are paying these people $1 to $2 a day. It's just insanity. Like this is capitalism at its worst, and it sounds so hypocritical because I'm recording this on a Mac and I will be cutting the video later on one. I have an iPhone right here. It's like a thin balance you have to walk. I'm not updating my devices in any form, I've had the same mouse since I was like 13 or something, when I started gaming. I don't have a car, so these are just like small adjustments, that can be made and that will not necessarily have a big impact, because same with climate change, you can't just like from one day to the next like change everything, but we can slowly start to accept this reality and boycott like the newest iPhone that's released or gaming console or whatever that's like minimally better than the first or the previous one. It's like, for what, just go out there and touch some grass. Once again, like this holds so much truth, and although it's such a simple sentence. And yeah, I just wanted to raise some awareness to this issue with this short video. I hope you learned something new. I hope you liked the video and you are going to subscribe, because it would help me tremendously to continue making these videos. I really love the support. So thank you for all of that. Let me know what you want to see next. And yeah, I'll see you guys on the next episode. Goodbye.